I'm Debbie Godfrey. Welcome to the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast.
So today's pep talk is back from Dreikur's book, The Challenge of Parenthood, and the most common mistakes we parents make. And today's is extracting promises. And Dreikur talks about how futile and even harmful in its further consequences is the attempt to get the child to make promises of better behavior. For example, promise me you'll never say that word again, or that promise me that you'll behave better next time. Promise me that you won't lie to me anymore. And usually the child will agree. Of course I won't do that anymore. And they usually say it absentmindedly, and they don't have any idea of really feeling remorseful or bad about what they did, but they're just trying to appease you or to avoid any more punishment. And even if your child honestly intends to keep his promise, very little is gained because you've extracted it and he hasn't come up with it on his own. He doesn't learn responsibility or creative thinking or figuring stuff out. So the child is basically, his behavior is remaining the same if you're extracting promises from them. He doesn't change his personality at all. And it's really funny because when they repeat what they did, what they promised they wouldn't do anymore when we've extracted the promise from them, then we add to the list how they failed to keep their promises. So not only are they getting in trouble for whatever the thing was that we asked them to promise not to do again, but they're also getting in trouble because now they don't keep their promises. But to me, if I've extracted the promise, it's not really truly a promise that they're making. And so then the third way that it causes problems or kind of backfires for us is that because they continue to fail, they can say, well, I just can't do it. I'm weak. I can't do it. And so they use it as they're failing, that they're not capable. So instead of extracting a promise, one of the best things to prevent a repetition of some mistake they've made is to convince your child of the consequences of that mistake instead of trying to extract a promise from them for the next time. Because usually if we train them to make a promise they won't do it again, then that's what they'll do. Every time they make a mistake, they'll say, I promise I won't do it again. I promise I won't do it again. And they might really mean it, but it's really not working because they need to experience consequences of their conduct. So figuring out what is the best way to what is the best consequence of this child's mistake instead of just extracting a promise from them. And because the other thing about when we train children by getting them to promise to behave better next time, they'll also use that in the future to avoid unpleasant circumstances, because then they'll start promising everything and anything to get out of some consequence or to avert some punishment. So the child will also learn to use promises as a way to get advantages. So they'll see that, wow, this thing can really work, my parents. And so they'll start promising, well, I'll do this if we do that. And, or maybe like we're going to do something and you might say, but I won't do it unless, I won't take you to the store unless you clean up your room first. And oftentimes in that situation, a child say, well, I promise I'll do it when I get back. And then we go to the store and then we get back and we're back in another power struggle. And that's how the promises just don't work. If you do get in a situation where you'll say, we can go to the store when your room is clean, which I wouldn't suggest anyway, it's not really a logical thought, but let's say you do something like that and the child says, I promise I'll do it when I get back. You don't want to do that. If you're making some activity contingent on them doing something, they should do the something first. So don't let them have promises to do it later. And also permitting yourself to be bribed by promises, which are a substitute for actions, it succeeds in only developing traits of undependability in your children. That was a quote from Dreikur's book. And you cannot be too careful. I'm going to read the rest of this because it's cute. You cannot be too careful in regard to promises. It may be very gratifying when, of his own accord, a child gives a friendly promise. But you must take care that he does not use this as a means of buying himself out of some unpleasantness or of gaining some sort of undue advantage. In any case, nobody should ever extort a promise from a child. It generally invites trouble. So that's extracting promises. Look at that today. See, do you do this with your kids? I don't know if a lot of parents do, but if you do, think about how they might be interpreting this situation. Good, bad, indifferent. Have a great day. Happy parenting.
Thank you so much for joining me here at the Positive Parenting Pep Talks podcast. I assume you're here because you're getting something out of these daily pep talks. And wouldn't it be great if more parents could hear more about these ideas for their children? And you can help me in a great way by liking the episodes, by sharing them on your social media, and especially by providing a review on your platform of choice. So if you could do me a huge favor and do that, it would really help get this out to many, many, many more parents. And we can all help our children feel more seen, heard, and understood, which is my life's work, is to make sure that all children feel loved and appreciated and that we can discipline them without breaking their spirit. So I hope that you've enjoyed these podcasts and will continue to enjoy them. And I really appreciate any support you can give me here at Positive Parenting Pep Talks. Thank you so much. Have a great day and happy parenting.